This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This conversation features Kai Hansen of Gamma Ray and Helloween. The catalyst for the chat is due to the release of Helloween's self-titled album for 2021. It is out right now, and if you haven't heard it, it is absolutely a contender for Album of the Year. Something else, the internet connection that I was using, and I think also Kai was using, was absolutely potato, so we drop out 2 or 3 times. There are some minor edits, but as long-time listeners to the show will know, I ensure that any edits that are done do not detract from the quality or the dynamic of the conversation. So here he is, Kai Hansen from Helloween and Gamma Ray. There was absolutely no way that I was going to forego my opportunity to have a chat to you, given I've been a fan of Helloween, but not just Helloween, Gamma Ray for a very long time as well. So there you go.
Yeah, great.
Fantastic. Yeah. How have you found the phone calls and the reception to the brand new album from Helloween, and indeed your return has been going? Because as far as I can see, mate, everybody's just absolutely thrilled to have the great Kai Hansen back in Helloween.
Well, it's not only me; it's me and Michael, I guess.
Yep.
We do a little part in this thing, but I'm absolutely happy too. And so far, the reactions to what we've done they have been just amazing. I thought we made a good album. I mean, in the beginning, I could not really even judge anymore. I couldn't stand to hear the album. I was like really overcritical to everything, and I didn't know what it was actually. Now with a little time distance, I love it. It's just great, and I'm happy people seem to love it too. Like journalists I talked to so far, and magazines, reviews, quotes from people, from fans that have been listening to what was out so far. And today's release day, actually, so there will be much more to come in terms of reactions. So I read some comments already, and it's like over 90%, 95% is just positive. Everybody's happy. You, of course, always have those few percent of dislikers and haters and, whatever. It's like normal. But in general, I think we've done a good thing.
Look, I've spoken to Sascha. I've spoken to Dani and Markus as well. And I'm getting such a great vibe from all of you guys so far, including from yourself, of course, in the few minutes that we've been talking. But look, it has been 31 years since your last studio album in the band. An incredible amount of time has passed. So I guess to open things up in a formal manner, I've only got one thing to say, which is welcome home. But does it feel like that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is. It is both. I mean, it was from the beginning when we joined together again for the tour and started rehearsing. It was like coming home, absolutely. And I'm sure with a new, perspectives, of course, and getting to know the guys better that I didn't know so far, and of course realizing or seeing what has happened for all those years with the guys I've known so far. And everything has been very positive. And now with the album, with the production, of course, that's even a more intricate story if you get together in a studio and all these. We have a lot of songwriters, we have a lot of opinions, we have a lot of musical talent here in this band, I would say. And I was curious. It was like being home. It felt like something I've seen before, déjà vu. And on the other hand, it was new territory. It was something like a new adventure. And, I guess we managed bravely to go through and without any injuries.
Well, look, the other thing that I have to say is that Helloween is indeed one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time, and that's an unobjective opinion as far as I'm concerned. That is the case. But look, you guys are every bit as important as Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and I feel as though the strength of the album, and I've said this to the other members of the band that I've had a chat to, I feel like as though it further cements your legacy, but even better than that. Okay, because the past is in the past and the future is what lies ahead. It provides a wonderful platform for you guys to continue for many more years to come. So I know the other guys feel the same way, but was that one thing I didn't speak to the other guys about, which I'll ask you, was that ever spoken about in the studio, that this sets you guys up for many more years to come?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the idea behind it. You know, we were all pretty sure that it's not about like just making a one-off album and then disappearing again into whatever. This is meant to be, and this is meant to be until we start looking ridiculous on the stage or something like that. You know? And it's like, yeah, there's no doubt about that. You know, once we do this, it is meant to be. And of course, you never know what the future brings. But so far, everything looks super bright, and I'm very happy. And especially like you saying something like, you're kind of getting up into the league of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. I mean, wow, that's big. That's fucking big. I mean, you know, if we have achieved that, and we'll continue to prove that we are worthy, then we definitely can make a big sign on our history and say, well, you know.
Well, I can't think of any other band that has all of the band singers in the band. Name another band that's doing what you guys are doing and bringing that to the people, to the fans that love and appreciate your music. Because most bands, as you well know, they get to a point if they've been together for, say, 15 or 20 years and they can't stand each other anymore if they're successful. You guys have had the success and you've regrouped. You've got this wonderful reunion happening.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, nobody knows what would have happened if we hadn't split our ways back then. So maybe it would have led to the point where we couldn't have stand each other anymore.
Yeah.
Totally.
I understand. Yeah.
But I guess everything went right with the way things happen. There's always, you know, I believe there's always some purpose for things to happen or some reason. And I guess all those years in between and all the different experiences that we made individually led to the point where we were able to get together with this and do it in a good way.
Yeah, do it in a good way indeed. And that's a great point, that one there, because this album here is the band's strongest since the Gambler album from 2007. And that wouldn't have been easy to accomplish from the perspective that there are many more of you, which, to be honest with you, means more egos too, if you know what I'm saying, in the studio, fighting to be heard.
Yeah.
But you guys managed it. So from your perspective, what were the most significant challenges in the studio?
Well, there were a few. I mean, starting with the songwriting, not to do an album which is like painting by numbers and just, you know, say, okay, what are the fans expecting, and we have to work for that. Basically, it was about making yourself free from that and just being Helloween. Helloween is, in my opinion, is a band that can go very diverse in the range of metal, right? We have different ways of playing our metal, and it ranges from power speed metal to hard rock, I would say. And that's basically, and some poppy elements are always welcome too, as we all know. So we didn't make any game plan or say we give any direction. Mm-hmm. So everybody was open, come up with whatever he had in mind, and then we sat together and choose it. And of course, the challenge with all these different characters and the different songwriters and the styles that everybody delivers, the challenge is to make it sound like an album that is played by one band and performed by one band, and not like a compilation of different egos. Mm-hmm. I guess we did a good job in teaming up and you know, putting our individual ingredients into the big soup, without any problem. Not meaning that we didn't have any discussions or controversies on some points, that I think that's healthy and that has to be in a band.
Sure.
You need to, if everybody's just like saying blah and you all follow one horse, I guess that makes things not so it doesn't give that special tension, that leads to this grandeur. And so I guess we managed to just go through this and everybody was aware of it. And somehow it doesn't sound like a compilation to me, even though, a song written by Andy Darius definitely sounds different than a song written by Michael Weikhaus or Sascha or me. Mm-hmm. But it's like Helloween altogether.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You need that creative tension, don't you? You kind of need the ability to sort of be able to challenge each other without hurting each other's feelings, but at the same time where there is a bit of a winner and a loser, if you like, where some ideas do beat out other ideas and not all ideas stick. And I think that I did notice that your soul, and I could be wrong here, so tell me if I am, but your sole writing credit is and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, but probably the strongest track on the album, Skyfall.
Oh, thanks.
So I feel like as though Skyfall's every bit as significant and has as much of an impact as, say, Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And you know what I'm talking about there. And it's also sharing
sure.
Well, it's also sharing a name with a very good movie, a James Bond movie. And what I wanted to ask you was is that a song that you've been working on for many years prior to coming back into Helloween?
No, that's brand new. It's the initial idea struck me sometime when it was about songwriting for Helloween, that phrase. And I was just driving in my car and humming shit for myself, and then I had this this melody going through my mind, and immediately words formed, because I always like to work with melodies and phonetics. So from the phonetics that I have in mind, words form. And so I came up with this line, I fell from the sky, so don't ask me why I'm feeling so down. And from that point on, I started spinning the story around it, because I was thinking, okay, who could have fallen from the sky? Parachuter. Well, that's boring. Oh, no. Alien. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that alien fell from the sky. And then, the story developed together with the music. And then I was working on it in demo terms, and it turned out to be pretty nice. I'm happy with the song.
Killer song, and I love the fact that it feels like it's orchestral. It's like it's movements within that, so you didn't cut any bits out.
Yeah, well, I like to work with orchestral elements, orchestration. I try to first go with guitar orchestration, so I do like the Brian May thing. You do a lot of overdubs and stuff. Of course, in some places there has to be some keyboards to get that dramatic background and stuff like that, which should never be in the foreground for me, but it's part of the music. And I didn't want to repeat Helloween or Keep of the Seven Keys, but I was sure this is going to be something epic, like, and so I tried to come up with parts were forming that were so far not been heard by Helloween, these little middle parts and stuff like that. So something different, but same but different, as we used to say here. So that's it.
Danny told me how thrilled he was to be working with you, that your voice, and he said this with the greatest of respect to the other two vocalists in the band, but that's the Helloween sound with your voice out front. So did you bond with Danny? Oh,
obviously, yes. He never told me that. Actually.
Yeah, that's what he told me. Yeah.
But I'm happy to hear that. So I think, okay. I think I have my acceptance in the band as, what I am, so like screamer, shouter, whatever. I'm not so much like a classic operatic singer and stuff like that. I have my edges, and some people love it, some people hate it. That's fine. I'm fine with myself, and I'm happy to have the band, meanwhile, even more acknowledging the little extra spice I can put on top with my vocals.
What was it like working with Sascha? Because Sascha strikes me as an extraordinarily talented individual.
Absolutely, he is. Absolutely, he's very artsy, I would say, and he's a super great guitar player, and he's technically very, very, very clever. He's always coming up with equipment and ideas about sound settings and shit like that. And when we are on the stage with so many people, how to do things technically and stuff like that. And beyond, he's very, he's somehow classy. He's very much. I think he's always seeing the term of aesthetics. For him, things have to be aesthetically good, though still humanly imperfect, as he would think. And so it's challenging to work with him because he's sometimes not easy, as am I. So we had our little clashes here and there, but never in a bad way. But it's good. It's kind of it's great to have people you can learn from, and you can experience, and you can see other twists instead of just going your way and just dominating everything. This is really fine, and I enjoy that very much.
Now, had you been keeping up with the band's material in the years between when you were out of the band, so from 1990 until 2017, when you came back in for Pumpkins United?
Actually, yes. Of course, I followed what they did, and they did Pink Bubbles Go Ape, and of course I heard that, and Chameleon, and Time of the Oath, and whatever came after. I have to say, the recent albums, like From Rabbit Don't Come Easy, I didn't really follow so much. I heard a song here and there too, but I never got down to really listening through the whole albums. Why? It was maybe not so important for me at that time, or whatever. I don't know. I discovered more and more things they did after I was gone. So still have to get big into the recent past and see what actually, who wrote what, and style wise, to get more adapted to the individuals. I have some homework to do, I would say, but hey, never mind. It's all okay, But I've been following, of course. Yeah, sure.
What were your thoughts at the time when you heard Chameleon and Pink Bubbles Go Ape?
I have to say, I really liked Pink Bubbles Go Ape. I thought that was a great album. I was like, wow, okay, that's a cool album. Only one thing was puzzling me about the whole album. There was something about the whole atmosphere on the album that didn't seem right to me. Even though I liked the songs, I liked the performance, but something wasn't right. And later on, I learned that they had a real hard time in the studio with the producer, and internally fights and things that were not going well. And so maybe there was some negative buzz that kind of reflected on the album in some way. I don't know what it was, but it was my feeling. And they later on, they told me, yeah, right, that there was something. Then Chameleon was a brave move, put it in a good way. I was like, what the fuck are they doing now? They're trying something. Because it was a good album, not to say it was bad, but it was. I was sure it was nothing that could be swallowed and heavily loved by the until then Helloween fans, because it was a real break. I completely understand when artists try to break out of their former structures and corsets. I did the same. With Sino Moore and Insanity and Genius, that was pretty experimental, I would say, trying to go other ways. And many people did that. I mean, you're talking about Maiden and Priest. Halford did it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Did it, and many more. Some successful, some not so successful. But I completely understand. I think sometimes it's necessary to do that, to get back to your roots and do that with a refreshed mind and energy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and to your point there with Maiden, yeah, they've definitely had some huge missteps, as you know. Everybody knows that with Blaze, poor old Blaze Bailey, what they did with him. But then Priest have gone the opposite way, where when Rob was out of the band, they came up with some very strong material, but they've decided to bury it, which is just crazy. You know, I was just talking to somebody not too long ago about that, and in an interview situation like this, and I just cannot understand why they're burying the Ripper Owens material. Ripper Owens is a fantastic singer. It'd be like burying some material that happened when you were out of the band now that you're back. It's the same philosophy. But it doesn't make sense because fans get attached to the material.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I understand if you know, let's put it that way. The phase of Maiden with Blaze and the phase of Priest with Ripper was not a spot of glory in their career.
Yep.
So the bands kind of like put it to the side for now. Though you have to say, I mean, Maiden play songs which now Bruce sing that were originally sung by Blaze Bailey. Klansman, for instance, stuff like that, you know.
Sign of the Cross.
So it sounds fantastic.
Yeah. There's a few songs
but
there.
As well, like Priest were with Owens, they started to go into another musical direction. I mean, it was still metal, sure, but it was not so much Priest as you were. Like, if you were a Priest fan from the old days, it was a bit far from that, very proggy and so on.
Industrial, bit of industrial stuff crept in.
I didn't like too much. I honestly say I was not a fan of that. And even though Tim is a great singer, I couldn't accept him in Priest because he was not Rob Halford, you know, and he was too much sound like Rob Halford.
Mate, the next question I had for you is: was there any bad blood that you had to resolve with the group's two long-standing members, being Markus and Michael, in order for you to come back in?
Oh, no. Whatever. I mean, with Markus, I never had anything. Anyways, with Mikey in the past, there were some things, but they were long solved. I mean, we both had grown up with time, and we didn't have any need to continue our little fights from the past. We could bury everything and just be fine. I mean, I love this guy. Really, I'm having such a great time with him now. We hang out together pretty much, and we share the same kind of stupid humor, and can add up to each other really good. We're both some weirdos that fit together. You can see us as like Waldorf and Statler in some way.
Yeah. Now let's, if it's cool with you, I'd like to talk about your other band, because that's the band that I actually am most familiar with you through. Gamma Ray. Yeah, Gamma Ray. I remember the first ever, and I've been referring to the band as a power metal band, but you know what I'm saying. I don't like labels that much, but you guys were the first power metal band that I understood. I've got to say, it wasn't Helloween. I love Helloween nowadays, but it was you guys. It was actually a bit of reverse engineering with yourself at the helm of things, with Kai Hansen at the helm. So the first album that I got from Gamma Ray was Power Plant in 1999, and I still love the album, I've got to say. And you released Gamma Ray.
Too.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah. What can I say? I mean, I think we've done some great stuff, and it's very nice to hear that it brought you to us. You know, that's really cool. Normally, it worked the other way around. People who were into Helloween, they were like starting to follow Gamma Ray. But yeah, it's nice to know that it worked the other way around too.
Well, I love the artwork and the associated artwork, and I love the way that you carried over some of the themes of the artwork from Helloween into Gamma Ray. And I just love the fact too that 1999, when Power Plant was released, wasn't exactly heavy metal's high watermark, if you know what I'm saying. It was basically underground. Certainly here in Australia, metal was nowhere. I had to buy your album on import through a distributor, I think, in Sydney. And look, I don't think you've released a studio album since 2014's Empire of the Undead. So, look, for all the fans out there, please tell me you're planning on keeping Gamma Ray going as an ongoing concern.
I absolutely don't want to let it die. I mean, I said that when I joined Helloween, and I let the other guys know. And doing this, of course, there was always one crying eye, which still is in some way, because I've done Gamma Ray for so many years, and I think we did great stuff. So now, of course, Helloween became priority, and I stand to that. Nevertheless, I will try to come up with new Gamma Ray stuff. At the moment, actually, to this Corona time where we couldn't go on tour now, we're going to try to make an album this year. So I'm songwriting, and the other guys are too. So I hope we can finish it this year and release it next year. Crying eye was always like, because I always had the feeling, shit, I leave the guy standing in the rain here somehow. And of course, they had this kind of feeling, even though everybody understood it perfectly well why I did it and that I had to do it. But of course, there's a little bitter pill to it, because I love Gamma Ray, and as I said, I don't want to let it die, and want to continue as far as I can.
Do you get many fans, or did you get many fans that were turning up to Gamma Ray gigs with their Helloween stuff, wanting you to sign that and not really paying attention to what you were doing with Gamma Ray? Oh,
no. I mean, I got many people, of course, turning up with Helloween stuff on the signing sessions or whatever, and being Helloween fans, of course. I guess that's natural, but there was not that I could remember anybody who was like saying, well, I don't like Gamma Ray, but can you sign my Helloween albums? I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes it happens when you've got a very successful band like Helloween. And look, you've been in Gamma Ray almost as long as you've been a member of Helloween, all things considered. Gosh, it's been that long now. Gamma Ray has been a band for about 35 years, is it? 32 years? It's been a long time at this point.
Yeah.
30 years.
Actually, we just done, recently we've done some streaming show in these pandemic times. We had the offer to do a streaming show, and we did it, and we even invited Ralph for a guest role. Yeah. And that was very nice. And we're done with the production of a DVD from it, so a CD, DVD, and it will come out soon. So that will be fantastic.
Yeah. Now, I reckon one of the aspects of Gamma Ray that I adore is that you do these cover versions. Now, I reckon your cover of It's a Sin by Pet Shop Boys is the very best metal cover of a pop song. And God, there's hundreds, if not thousands out there of pop songs that have been covered by metal bands, but the high watermark is your version of the Pet Shop Boys song. So here's the other thing that I'd request from you is that you think about recording a covers album with Gamma Ray.
Yeah.
There we go.
Back. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, we made it back, okay. I think. Right there, yeah. It's just one of those nights, I think, here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you got what I said?
No, sorry. Go ahead. I missed it. It was about a minute there that sort of cut out, and I was about to call back again, but go for it, yeah.
Yeah. So about the cover album. I never considered making a real full cover album because I always thought, okay, if we have some idea for a cover, we can always put it as a B-side or some extra track for an album, which is fine. But full album covers, I would only do if we run out of ideas, maybe.
But you understand my point, though. You do specialise in very excellent, like metal versions of pop songs. It seems to be one of the great characteristics of Gamma Ray.
Well, I guess we can do it. Yeah, sure. We have a feel for that. And Pet Shop Boys is a funny thing. Yeah, I always heard the song on the radio and was always like, "Fuck, this could be a metal version of it." And I had to think about Priest, Diamond and Rust because it was a Joan Baez song and they put it into this riding rhythm and stuff. And when I heard Pet Shop Boys, I had to feel, oh, this could be done in that vein, in that direction. And we tried, and it worked out very, very well.
Hey, let me ask you a bit of a question that you might not have been asked, or a lot at the very least, but with a career such as yours, from the outside, from myself as a fan's perspective, there's not a lot that you could probably have a lot of regrets over, but that's probably not the case. So do you have any regrets about your career so far?
No, actually I don't.
Great.
No, really, when I look back, I think, well, I've done the best I could at all times. And we had ups and downs, sure, especially the time between 92 and 97, I would say, when the classic metal scene was completely destroyed. You couldn't even show up with a double bass because that was not cool anymore and stuff like that. Everybody was looking for the alternative to the alternative, grunge and blah blah blah. So that was hard fighting times, actually. But I don't regret anything, actually. The only thing I sometimes regret it is when I started Gamma Ray not to have the name Helloween because I think we would have sold more albums. But that was the only regret I had.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, there's a lot of bands that look back on when they first started out in their youth and think, if only we'd picked a band that had more a band name that had more commercial potential, then we could write whatever music we want, because it doesn't change the meaning of the music. I certainly understand where you're coming from at that point.
Yeah.
So
that's that's a given.
So no doubt, look, there are plenty of glories that are on the horizon for you, given the strength of this self-titled album here. But if you had to pick a single career highlight so far, what would you pick?
You mean in terms of song?
Well, the whole thing. I mean, you're literally the one in a million in that you can be a career musician playing heavy metal. Many try, but most can't do it. But you've done it. So what's given you the greatest sense of satisfaction about all of that?
That's a tough question. I don't know. Because I can't name one point that is like the highlight of everything, because that will put down everything else in some way. So I don't know. I mean, I remember milestones for me, like, of course, everything Helloween in the beginning, but then with Gamma Ray, I was Heading for Tomorrow, which was like a real breakout album for me, completely free of anybody else and stuff, and then a bit experimental. Then Land of the Free, like a big return to the classic Halloweenish style Hansen metal, and then later on No World Order, which I really love still because it's so pure. Very direct album, and so on. There's always like these points where I say, okay, this has been something special.
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely about No World Order, by the way. I think that I'm not one for making huge statements, okay? Sometimes I am, but, I might as well go and say it. I think that might be the best album you've been associated with, No World Order. That's a ball-tearing album.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, that one, when I first heard that one there and that operatic introduction that you did to that, I remember getting that CD back in, was it 2001 that was released? I remember getting that and putting it in my car CD player And I remember, and this is true, I remember I had to pull over because of the lyrical themes, about the Illuminati and this sort of stuff and what you were getting at with that. But how heavy, but at the same time how fast it was as well. You guys, you knocked it out of the park with that album.
I think with this album, we really nailed it. The whole production was so good. I was so happy with the sound and the performance and everything. We did something good. Sometimes you wonder, okay, this was so down to the point. Why maybe the next album was not so down to the point? You know what I mean? It's really funny.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. Now you've been to Australia before, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. What were your impressions of touring Australia?
Well, touring would be said too much because I think with Gamma, we only came for one show in, was it Melbourne?
Yeah, probably Melbourne. They get all good shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was very cool. I mean, I remember walking through the animal park there, stuffing eucalyptus leaves to my nose because it was blocked, and seeing those koala bears being high on that stuff, and I had good memories, and the show was really fantastic. The fans were great, crazy, and I always regretted that we didn't make it back.
Have you been down here for holidays or anything like that?
No, I never made it. I only made it for Hawaii.
Did you think when you first started out then, way back in the day, a young fella from Germany, you got all the greats coming out of Germany at the time like Michael Schenker and Accept, so many great rock bands and metal bands coming out of Germany. It must have felt like as though, and obviously it came true, but we all have that dream to become a rock star, to become a professional musician. But did it truly feel like it could become a reality for you when you were 15 and 16, the way it has evolved?
It didn't feel like a reality. I mean, I was jumping on my bed in my room at home with, 14 or whatever, when I started playing guitar with 12. And I was a huge Sweet and Slade and Uriah Heep fan and all that, So I was, jumping around with my guitar on the bed and just imagining, being like them. But I never went so far to say this has to be or this can or will be a reality. I just walked away that was given there and made the right decisions at the right point, probably. And with a little luck and talent, well, here I am,
Yeah, no, I agree. No, well, you've got the talent. I just don't know whether talent is one thing, but you've got to have the resilience. There's that key word, the resilience to deal with the bullshit.
Yeah. There is no space for half-hearted things and making a career only on rock star dreams. You have to love the music. You have to love what you're doing. You have to be a fan of what you're doing. And do it with all your heart and put all your energy into that. Otherwise, you're never gonna make it. You're just gonna be a wannabe, and that's the point.
If you could go back and give yourself some advice when you left Helloween, what would it be?
Well, some advice. What would I have said? Get vocal lessons?
You don't need vocal lessons. You can sing.
Well, yeah, meanwhile, I'm halfway good.
You have a very distinct voice. You're like Bon Scott in that when you hear your voice, it's just you.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice because that's how I see myself. I'm not one of those high classy singers. I'm the guy who is like stands to his ugliness. I'm like Lemmy, Ozzy Osbourne, Bon Scott. Always thought about that. When people like criticize my voice, I say, well, okay, what the fuck?
Well,
there's a lot
people
of
criticize you. Why would they have a reason to criticise your voice? Why would they have a reason to criticise your voice, though, unless they're just being fuckwits?
Too scratchy, annoying, or whatever, too high, like sounding like a dwarf on acid or something like that. It's all a matter of taste in the end.
Yeah, agreed.
There's some singers that might be good singers, but I can't stand to hear them. For instance, I'm like, oh my God, no, turn it off. But it's just a matter of taste.
I think it is too. Yeah, Look, I'm a musician too, and the few times in my life I've had feedback where people have said, you're doing it wrong or what have you. It's like, wrong? What do you mean by wrong? Or you need to change this so it fits better or what have you. It's just a matter of personal opinion and taste. I mean, unless you're out of tune, then that's a different story. If you can't do it or you're out of tune, then that's a different story. Yeah. If
your phonetics suck, or if your tuning sucks, or your timing is shit, okay, then it's absolutely fair to say, well, it sucks. But if you're doing a good job and it's just about the character or the sound of your voice, then it's a different story. Then people can say, well, I don't like it, but they cannot say you're doing it wrong or you suck or something like that. That would not be fair.
I'll make this one my final question for you then. But look, I do feel as though you have accomplished a hell of a lot, and you have accomplished a hell of a lot. That is an unobjective opinion again. You have done it. But when you shuffle off the mortal coil and people are standing around remembering you, what is it that you hope that they say about you? So what are the characteristics and the sort of life that you've led that you hope you are remembered for most?
Oh, my God. Well, I guess I want to be remembered for writing good songs, making albums that people can enjoy, bringing a little joy to people's lives, maybe even inspiring people to pick up a guitar and following that same path. And that would be good, And they can remember me as, he was rock and roll.
I think that's all but assured on that front there. I think you'll be remembered as an original. That's what I think you're going to go down as, somebody who led life and played music the way you wanted to play it.
That's true. Yeah, free spirit.
A free spirit indeed, yeah. Well, you got many more years ahead of you, so I don't think I'm trying to get you to shuffle off the mortal coil anytime soon.
No, as I said, I'm still very good, and so I think there will be much more to come. Yeah, sure.
The final point would be, and I've made this point 3 times already, as I said, because I've spoken to 3 of your bandmates, but, mate, we need to see you down here. You know that. You probably get heaps of mail from Australian fans.
Oh, sure, of course, and, I only can say I fucking hope we make it.
Well, let's hope it happens too. Just whenever this bullshit COVID stuff is all done with, mate, if we can be one of the first territories, us and Japan, because we tend to be a team, us and Japan, if we can be one of the first territories you visit to try out some new material and put on one of those wonderful 2-hour-long sets that you're known for, go for it. Yeah.
We will try our best, and going to Japan and hopping to Australia is always a good way of doing it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's hope for the best. I think I'm pretty sure our agencies and managements, everybody is working on that because we get a lot of good feedback from Australia, and we wouldn't want to miss it.
No, well, we don't want to miss it either. So look, again, mate, Kai, you're a legend. It's been a pleasure to chat to you. I've loved listening to your music for as long as I've been listening to it for, and long may you continue to create raucous rock and roll and heavy metal.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, and thanks for this nice interview. It was a real pleasure.
Likewise, brother. No worries. All right, all the best with things. Have a great day.
Okay. See you soon, huh?
Absolutely. No worries. Catch ya.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks for tuning into that chat between myself and Kai Hansen from Helloween and Gamma Ray. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, there's plenty more like it over at scarsandguitars.com. Just search via the Whooshka widget. So many more conversations, well over 550, all of the stars of extreme metal, heavy metal, rock, and many others too. If you've got some time on your hands, it's worth diving into the mini interviews, the mini guests that I've had on the show. I shouldn't say interviews, actually, because they're conversations. I'm making a big point now of reframing and saying that they're not interviews, they're conversations that I conduct because, well, that's just how I do things. Anyway, my name's Andrew Mackay Smith, the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Thanks for tuning in.